Awesome. Ben, welcome. Thank you so much. I'll give you the floor. You should be able to share your screen and take it away.
All right, thank you. Thank you guys for coming out this morning. And I'd also like to thank Atlanta Ventures for having us out to share our story. So we're Athlete Analytics, and we leverage technology, data, and subject matter expertise to optimize performance and then reduce the risk for injury. So unlike most other industries that have continued to evolve and advance, the youth sports industry is still doing the same things that it did 50 years ago. The assessment methods are very rudimentary. The assessments that are actually given don't necessarily correlate to in-game performance. And then at these showcases and camps, there's no true follow-up to actually help athletes improve on their performance. And then on the training side, the unoptimized state of assessments is naturally leading to an unoptimized state of training. And there's also a very low barrier to entry when it comes to the training of youth athletes. So we figured out a system to bring cutting edge technology that's generally reserved for a laboratory setting or the most elite level of sports to youth sports. So to be clear, what really differentiates us is the quality and the type of data that we capture, because not only does it allow us to really provide a truly meaningful assessment of an athlete, but it allows us to really optimize our training programs and really drive great improvements, which we have objective data to show and prove that it works, which I'll share with you guys in a few minutes. So we're taking this complex data, we're synthesizing it down for athletes to understand, and then we're using it with our subject matter expertise to drive improvements. This is just an example of a standard showcase assessment that an athlete might see when he or she goes to one of these camps. They'll do the standard linear sprinting, lateral movements, and they're just going to get a basic report card with times, jump heights, and no follow-up. And even if somebody wanted to follow up, there's not really anything that you can do with this kind of data. And this is an example of a fraction of the data that we provide in a short amount of time to an athlete who goes through one of our assessments. So up top, we have our areas of focus, and this data is giving a representation of how athletes' body is moving. And then our software is automatically providing actionable insights on how to improve these things. Down here is an example of an applicable in-game performance metric. So this is one of our clients, Ryan. He plays in professional lacrosse league, and we're seeing the speed he's able to get up to when he makes a juke move and runs away from a defender. So he's getting up to 5.5 miles per hour. Again, that's directly applicable. Our business model is to continue to capture this type of data and really build out a large database of these complex movements, and then leverage it to really optimize our training, differentiate ourselves from other training competition, and then really scale our training through our mobile app. These are some examples of the types of data analytics that we're doing. We see what every athlete's, every joint, every body segment is doing during complex and simple movements. We're seeing the differences in football players' bodies compared to a golfer, compared to a lacrosse player, which is shown up here on the right. So we're able to really tailor what we're doing based on the individual sport, age, and gender. This is an example of some standard ranges of motion. So we're able to really know what is actually achievable for athletes, what's good, what's bad, what's great. We're uncovering some really interesting insights as well on performance metrics and how certain things affect outcomes. This is just an example of how an athlete dropping their center of mass when they're changing direction leads to how them increasing their acceleration back out and lowering their times and standard tests that they would do in a showcase. So what I'd like to do now is take you guys through a quick demo of our software. When an athlete logs in, this is their My Stats dashboard. They have their general performance test ups here, which they can click into and get a lot of data. This is an example of a sprint. We see their peak velocity in miles per hour here, the percentile that they fall in. We have a lot of data throughout the entire run they can look at. We've got their areas of focus heat map over here. So it's showing the athlete where their body's working well, where it's not. They get an efficiency score in their top 3 areas listed out here. And we have all of these test cards for every test that we do that an athlete can break out, see how they're doing, get their score. Then they'll come in here to their workout section. They have their mobility workouts here based on their data and the average needs of an athlete from their sport. their strength workouts. Software walks them through the workouts, rest, sets, all that. If they don't know how to do an exercise, they can click on the name, they'll get a demo. They can come in here, they'll select the equipment available to them. The software is only going to prescribe exercises that match their equipment. We have the recovery workouts for the athletes. So if they're feeling sore or tight after a game or practice, they can come in, select the area, let us know, hey, we're feeling tight, click get a workout, and the software is going to automatically create a little workout that will help them recover. And then we have our leaderboards. So this lets athletes come in, and this is a more social aspect to what we do, but they can see how they stack up against their peers, and it really taps into that competitive nature that lies within athletes. So coming back to some of those improvements that I touched on earlier, here's some of the professional collegiate athletes that we work with and some of the great improvements they're seeing. This is Ryan Drenner. He added 3.5 miles per hour to his 20-yard sprint time. Kyle Sloter, who is a free agent in the NFL, he added 10 inches to his broad jump. Devin plays professional basketball in Germany. He added 5 inches to his vertical. We're also working with the Georgia Swarm, which is a professional lacrosse team here in Georgia. We provide our assessments to their strength coaches, and they use that data to really dial in the training programs for their guys. This is our revenue traction. We started at about $1,000 a month in recurring revenue beginning of the year, and we've grown to over $8,000 a month now. And we've done this with zero marketing or sales. This has been purely referral, with people coming in and seeing what we do and then seeing the improvements they've been able to achieve and then going out and telling people about it. So we're raising money now, and the primary use cases for that money is to actually start to do sales and marketing, really accelerate the rate at which we can capture the data and then continue to develop our product. There's a lot of interesting things that we want to do and we know we can do. And so that's what we're going to be doing with the money. So here's our contact info. And if you guys have any questions, we'd love for you to reach out and we'd be happy to answer them.
Man, wow. Awesome. Great demo. Thank you, Ben, so much for sharing. We do have one question here. Looks like you covered kind of a lot of different sports. Is there a specific, do you have how many are under your umbrella? Is there any one focus that's better, or what does that kind of look like for you?
Our primary sports right now are lacrosse, baseball, and golf, but we work with volleyball, golf, tennis, basketball, football. We do all sports, but the core sports that we're seeing right now are that lacrosse, the football, the baseball, and the golf.
Okay, great. And you said, so that graph you showed, that was this year. So when did you officially start? We started
about a little over 2 years ago, and we finished the very first version of the software a year later. So we had our first working version of the software about a year ago.
Okay. And you have co-founders, correct? Or how big's your team?
Yes. So we have our CTO is Brandon. He graduated from Georgia Tech. He's brilliant, very, very good developer. And then Austin Seaman is our director of sports performance. Prior to coming aboard with us, he worked with Georgia Tech baseball, and then he worked with UGA football for a few years. And now he's working as our director of sports performance.
Okay, great. And one more question here. How do you, what do you attach to the athlete for computing, sensing, right? Is it all camera based? What does that look like?
Yeah, so right now we use wireless sensors. There's 17 of them. They go at various points throughout the athlete's body. And again, they're wireless. So once they get on, the athlete is free to move however he or she wants to move. They don't hinder performance, movement in any way. So it works out really well.
Nice. Awesome. Well, this is so great. Y'all, if you guys have more questions for Ben, feel free to drop them. I know there's a couple more. So Ben, if you want to connect and drop that contact in the chat, we'd welcome it. But we appreciate you being here and sharing your story. I'm excited to see how this next race goes.
Thank you, JC.
Yeah, of course. And I'll invite Chad to come on next. Ben, if you can stop sharing, and Chad, you can start sharing. We would love that.
Sure.
Let's see here.
There. Cool.
There we go. Cool. Let's see here. Where's Chad? Is Chad here? There he is. Okay. Awesome.
Sorry,
and Ben,
had to turn off mute, and I'll go into presentation mode.
Awesome. And then I'll turn my video off, and the floor is yours, Chad.
Excellent. So, Givsly is a values-driven marketing platform. So at a very high level, what we do is we use people's desire to give back as a way of achieving marketing results and business outcomes. So what I want to do first, though, before we get into that, is kind of talk about my experience. So, my background is sales leadership. And what I started to notice about 7 years ago is that there was this shift in how people wanted to interact in business from a B2B perspective. So I think everyone has talked about purpose when it comes to employee engagement or how like a consumer brand works, but not a lot of people have focused on like how to have more meaningful interactions when it comes to more of your business interaction with your partners or your clients. And so really what we are focusing on is this significant cultural shift that was happening pre-pandemic, where people were really wanting to move from material to meaningful things. So what I mean by that is, instead of taking your clients to a really expensive happy hour, actually being out in the community and like volunteering with them or supporting a cause that's really important to whatever their brand purpose is. And there's a lot of research right now that talks about the fact that 9 out of 10 companies know that they need to be incorporating purpose into like their business interactions, but only 2 out of 10 of those companies have really operationalized that. So that's where Givsly comes in. And where we've chose to focus is really on the marketing ecosystem. And there's a couple of reasons why, but I'll first talk about what's really shifted since the pandemic. So the first thing is, sales teams and marketing teams have really had their world turned upside down because of this environment that we've all been in from a virtual standpoint, environment, right? But what the reality is that 70% of these B2B decision makers want to stay in digital interaction. So how you develop authentic relationships, how you connect with people have become challenged, as well as like how you break through the noise of all of that outreach that is done more through email and other ways. The second is corporate gifting. I mean, we've all probably been to a conference where we're given a lot of swag bags or we've been sent swag. And we're not saying that, all swag is bad, to be clear, but there is a growing market out there that really doesn't want it. And so it creates a lot of waste, not only from the marketing budget, but for our environment. 23% of people will say that they throw corporate swag away immediately. So that's 23% of people's marketing budgets that are wasted. And then the third piece is like really customer engagement. So from a marketing perspective, having people download white papers, having people join like your event or come by your booth, those sort of things, utilizing giving back as a way to increase those business outcomes. So the way that Givsly works is we really, approach this $250 billion industry of B2B marketing, and we take the material way that people are, utilizing, connecting with their clients, and actually provide a meaningful way. So the best way to think about it is client happy hours, that corporate swag, gift cards, things like that. What our platform offers is saying, hey, send your client a donation to combat climate change or to provide health services to underserved communities. Those sort of things to get the same business outcome, but you're doing it in a way that also fulfills your social commitments. And the reason why we really started with the marketing aspect of things is because everyone really talks about purpose and profit and how purpose drives profit. But doing this for 3 years, what tends to happen is people keep those strategies in separate budgets. Purpose tends to live with CSR groups or HR groups, where you have these marketing and sales revenue orgs that are really tasked with like what certain actions drive for ROI. So our vision is that if you can equip them with a platform that allows them to say, you know what, we donated $250 to this client's charity and we got $500,000 in business from it, what starts to happen? More people start to see the impact of supporting community in need to actually drive business and elevate your business. So, we've been around for about 3 years. Now we just crossed our 3-year anniversary, and we've been really, really lucky to have some really large companies already leaning into what we do for various reasons. So like, for example, we will have a Reddit that utilizes our platform in their event executions. If people are coming by their booth, or if they're doing a webinar, well, they'll incorporate a donation to a nonprofit so that they can capture first-party data of the people who are really engaged in that content, and then follow up with them for, you know, a business conversation. Same thing with NBC Universal. They utilized our platform at the holidays to say, you know what, we're not going to send you a bottle of wine. We're actually going to send you $100 to support Black Girls Code. And then they were seeing like 40 to 60% of their audience actually responding to that, you know, metrics that they never see when they send these sort of communications out. So just some of the examples of how these clients are using it. But some real life case studies here is that, you know, companies like Undertone will say, hey, for every meeting we book with a business prospect, we're going to plant a tree. And they'll put that into their communication and their outreach. And they're seeing 7% response when the industry average for cold outreach like that is between 1 and 5%. Like I said, for Fox, what they did for corporate gifting is they actually replaced their swag with 1,000 meals provided to families during the holidays. They saw 54% response rate. And then CNET is incorporating it into their webinars and to their content, and they're seeing 30% of the audience actually scan these QR codes while they're actually listening you know, to the content or to the panel discussion, so that then they get a good insight into the people in the audience that are actually engaged, and like they can follow up with them about a business conversation. The other thing that's really interesting is through our tools, you know, the people who receive this kind of outreach can actually send back messaging to our clients. And it really just justifies, you know, the need for a tool like Givsly in the market. You know, when you think about, sorry, got a little feedback there. But, you know, from the perspective of, you know, the feedback that they provide when they respond to someone sharing this sort of donation. So you'll see people say, the whole industry should adopt something like this. You know, I'm admiring your company. There is just a level of connection that people feel through this outreach that goes far beyond just the conversion of the business outcome. We survey every person who uses the platform and actually has a connection to the platform to say, what was that experience like? And out of 5, you know, a rating of 5, 4.8 of people will say, yes, I like this, and yes, I plan to use Givsly again. So the customer satisfaction is really high. So just a little bit about my founding team. You know, my background, as I said, is sales leadership. I've spent 17 years in the ad tech industry across digital, mobile, and measurement platforms. Probably most notably, I was at a company that was actually in the tech village, or one of our offices were in the tech village, called XAD, which is now rebranded to Ground Truth, where I led that team, you know, from beginning the team. And then after 4 years, we were doing 100 million in revenue a year, and launched, you know, our APAC region as well as our EMEA region. Loda is my head of product. I've known her for over 16 years. She's actually the reason I got into mobile, so it's a full circle moment. But she has a lot of experience in building mobile platforms and digital platforms for brands like Bloomberg, the New York Times, and NBC. And then our third co-founder is Susu Grace, who I actually worked with at another company where she ran experiences globally, did 125 different events at that company, but comes with really the marketing experience of knowing how people would utilize these in different environments, as well as making sure that our customer experience is good. So what I can do now is demo the platform to show you how easy it works. But you know, at the end of the day, and at a very high level, our mission here is to increase and create meaningful business outcomes wherever marketing and sales teams need it, whatever their objective is, whether that is getting more meetings for their sales team, whether that's getting more people to a webinar, whether that's getting people to you know, download white papers, you name it. People can incorporate our tools and actually drive better results. So I'll stop sharing here for just a second and bring up the, how am I? It's not, oh, there we go, sorry. show you actually how the platform works. Pull this up. So you can go to Givsly.com, and this is what you see. You can sign up for free and test the products with a platform fee. But we do now sell subscriptions to our partners that are really leaned in. So basically, first, let me log in here because I've been ghosting some other customer platforms. But so there's two different ways currently that people can connect with people. The original way that the platform started was a little bit more of a two-sided marketplace where we're moving more into a SaaS platform. But the original idea was allowing people to sign up and really like set aside one meeting or two meetings to connect. So we all get a lot of outreach from people we don't know. This allows people to come on, book some really like hard to find people where they can like make a donation to a nonprofit that this person cares about by booking that time. So basically what I can do is I can go in here and say, okay, for the next 3 months, who is available that I could meet with if I was someone, looking to, for example, meet with Emily O'Connor, this digital director. And then I can see that Emily volunteers, a 30-minute meeting a week for a $200 donation to one of these nonprofits that she cares about. So this is the original way that the company started, but the feedback that we heard from our users was, hey, it's great that you have this community of like, 1,400 people, but we really want to be able to send the power of Givsly to anyone that we want and incorporate it anywhere that we want. So we launched this product called Donation Offers, which kind of works like a Calendly link for donations, where people can incorporate this wherever they want. So I can come in here and let's say a lot of people are doing this right now. They're doing a Black History Month campaign. You can actually edit this information because to say whatever you want about why you're supporting Black History Month. You can change your background colors. We're actually going to be integrating Unsplash so that you can pick from a lot of different photos that will be released at the end of this week, put your logo in, and then you can customize the nonprofits that you want to support, and you can support up to 3. And the reason why we do that is we find that a lot of people care about causes, but they don't necessarily know the nonprofits they support. So I could say, Black Girls Code, Suit Up, which helps like nonprofits or underserved communities. And then the Bail Project, right? If that's like what I want to support, I can put whatever the donation amount that I want in. We've seen everything from $50 to someone on Giving Tuesday doing a $2,500 donation to someone that they were wanting to meet with. And so I'll just keep this at 50. And then you can cap this. So like if a marketing team is sending this out to 5,000 people and they want to make sure that they don't come into the system and see that, hey, I've got $5 million in donations I need to process. They can come in here and say, you know what, I'm going to cap this at $10,000. And then they save it. And literally what they do is they get this unique URL that they can embed in any sort of outreach that they have. And then what happens is when someone clicks on that, they are sent to this, automated landing page where they get the nonprofits that they can select from. And the one thing that we focus on is really the impact, not just the dollar amount. We see some platforms out there say like $50. We don't see that the satisfaction is high. So basically what they do is they just select what they want. I want, 6 students coached for college, put in their name, email, submit it. And then the person gets the signal that, hey, in this case, let's say JC was doing it, she wants to meet, like I'm going to follow up with her and set up a time. So that's at a very high level how the platform is currently working. So I'll pause there and answer any questions.
This is great. Wow. So cool. I feel like it's been great to see your progress, right? You show the where it was and where it is. I want to make sure we have time to get to Kendra, but I do have one question here. What's on the roadmap? What's next? Like, it sounds like you're coming a long way. So what's next for y'all?
Yeah, for us, it's really putting Givsly's nonprofit database, which we are directly connected with all the nonprofits that we have in our system, which is, I would love to say we were wise enough to know that was a differentiator, but it is becoming a significant differentiator for gifting platforms who want to upload our database. We are talking to creative companies that want to use it as incentivizing for, complete a pre-roll video, we'll donate $1. So taking that database and then incorporating it anywhere people are trying to look for business outcomes, so that they can drive more engagement, higher engagement just through the act of making a donation.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. It's really great to hear. I'm excited to see. And if anyone else has other questions, Chad, you'll drop your hopefully contact info in the chat, and then y'all can go from there. But I appreciate seeing it. This is awesome to see kind of where you've gone and where you're headed. We appreciate you being here.
Yep. Thank you. My email is chad@Givsly. Very easy. So if anyone wants to reach out, we'd love to meet people.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, I will next invite Kendra up. And then, as I said, Chad, if there is there's some questions in the thing, hopefully you guys can connect in the chat box. Kendra, I will let you take it away. I'm going to stop my video and give you the floor.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. So my name is Kendra Ward, and I am the co-founder of unboXT, and we are the people platform that turns managers into leaders. And so there's one thing that we do know is that people lead people, not organizations. And so we've seen these headlines everywhere. What's really happening is that we have mid-level management, and it's really impacting culture and turnover. And so as a mid-level manager, you're either promoted because you were really good at your job, or you have your own metrics. And so sometimes you get bogged down and you're not truly able to understand your employee to help convert or change that employee from turning over. And so what we do at unboXT is we enable deeper team connections by providing leaders with personalized, snackable recommendations to improve team motivation, morale, and performance. So how this works is that everyone on the team or within the organization will create their profile. With this profile, we're able to pull out the values and the motivators for each individual within a team. And so unboXT is able to understand the employee's individual motivators and values. From there is our data collection method. And so our data collection method is how we're checking and we're pulsing, and we're trying to understand how well is this person performing? How does this person feel? Or how well are they being motivated? And so this is their digital, which takes less than 30 seconds to complete. And this is unique to every single person within the organization, because as we know, what motivates each other may be different because we are different people. From there, the team leader is able to get recommendations. And this is our bread and our butter. These are the insights. This is the snackable recommendations that I spoke about, where they're able to look in and they're able to see exactly what do I need to do for this person, or what conversation do I need to have for my team. This is truly the bread and butter. Let's say you want to dig in a little bit deeper, you can go and look at the data. And so you can look at it from a 7-day, 6 months, and you're able to really see how things are going, how well you're motivating the team, how do they feel from a day-to-day or even a monthly basis. What was going on in January that people weren't really feeling that well? The next thing is that you're able to look at your team values. As we know, the values is what guides you. It's the vehicle to your goals as a team. And so at unboXT, we've been able to see a 90% adoption rate. And adoption rate is when the employee is signing up onto the platform and actually doing their digital check-ins. And so this is very different from a different employee surveys where they hover around a 20%. And we really truly believe that this is due to the simplicity of the product and the ease of use, as well as the personalization that the team members get. The next thing is we've seen a 12% increase in team motivation on morale. And so that's over from when they start and they're using the product to at a 6-month period where we can see what's going on, how are they changing or increasing from a leader effectiveness perspective. And then from a cultural change where they're having 2 to 4 more people conversations. A lot of times we talk about our metrics. I was in sales. It's did you have these many calls? How are the opportunities? but we get so bogged down again in our own metrics that we forget about the people metrics, which are just as important as our day-to-day metrics. My team is composed of myself and my co-founder, and then we also do have product managers, dev teams, a whole suite of people, and we have a lot of very active mentors that help us as we continue to grow and scale. Some of our customers include UPS, Nestle, Aflac, Comcast, and YWCA. My contact information is here, and so is my co-founder, Sakeem Isaac. So thank you.
Wow, awesome. Thank you so much, Kendra. That was great. It's really great to see kind of like that product. Can you tell us a little bit about, remind me, when did you start, and about how many customers do you guys currently have? I see them here, but maybe you could share a little bit of that. Oh, you are muted.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
So we were actually incorporated February 14th of 2018. So we just hit our 4-year mark.
Oh, wow.
We're really excited about that. And for the platform, you asked about some of our customers and who we have. So we're at about 11 customers. We started selling the product last year in March. And so because before that, it was really an MVP. It was us getting customer feedback. It was us understanding what exactly does our customer need. And so we have, again, 11 customers, and we have 100% retention from last year to this year. And so no customer churn. And so we're super excited about that. And we're glad to have really boisterous customers, because without them, we wouldn't be able to continue to grow.
Sure. Now, I assume customers, but is 11, but users, does that count go kind of way up?
Yep. So we have about 15,000 users right now, and that's individuals on the platform. And when you talk about, I think I saw something from Catherine, and it says the surveys. So the surveys are on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. And what we see is that, the blue collar roles, where it's a really high work impact environment, they're going to be on a daily digital check-in, and then sometimes a weekly, depending on where they are. And then, but with your more white collar roles, they're on a monthly digital check-in. We don't have the exact number of surveys that go out each week, but that is the frequency at which they do go out. That's a good question. Thank you.
And do you set that, or is that something that comes from the company level where they're able to figure out the cadence for their team?
Yep. So actually the team leader sets that cadence.
Okay.
And that's because each team is very unique and they're different. Some teams are very high touch point, and they do have that people conversation, but they just want to have something to go in for their one-on-ones. And that's where you see it at that monthly. But each team leader is able to set that frequency. And what you'll also notice is that we don't allow it to go beyond monthly. The work relationship is like any relationship. If you don't talk to someone for a few months or at a time, you're going to kind of lose touch and understanding about what's happening. So we do not allow them to go outside of that month.
Yeah, that makes sense. Catherine beat me to it, but I was gonna say, well, what's next? Like, what are and I'll add to that question. So what's next for y'all, right? What are customers requesting? And then maybe you can give us some insight on how do you navigate the customer requests versus your product roadmap, right? Like, how do you determine what you actually do and what you don't? So maybe that can be the second question.
So I'm gonna start with the second question and go to what the customers are requesting. And I'm gonna start with the second question because this is something that we face on a daily basis, right? Where it's about, what exactly do all our customers want? How many of them want it? Where are we at within the roadmap? And so we have to understand that it's a give and take. And so what we always try to do is prioritize exactly what the customer wants. But then we also do talk to them about the roadmap, right? It's about setting expectations. Well, if we do want this to come out at this time, this is something that you requested, we're going to have to rearrange that. But something that they are requesting is that it could be more seamless within their workday. A lot of our customers, one of our greatest customers and most boisterous is UPS. And so they're on their cell phones more times than not, and they're not able to get to their computer. And so they also have something called a device that they use to scan the packages. And so they would want our software on that device. So as they're checking in, they can do it there. As they're checking out, they can do it there. So they want a more seamless experience without having to use their cell phone. So that's really good because that means they're using it. That means they want to continue to use it. And now it's about how can we continue to integrate it and make it much easier for their day-to-day.
That's great. Yeah. So then what's next for y'all? What do you,
Yep.
what is on the roadmap other than UPS?
Yeah, other than UPS, we have some of our corporate customers. They're looking for more of a way to understand and see the motivation at its own part. So I showed you the coaching corner, which is right now where we're able to allow users to write, what they need help with, or if they want to write any comments. Right now, they want that to be broken out. They want to be able to pull that and have that in a separate tab. So that's one of the major things that we're working on, is being able to have them connect within the unboXT platform so they can understand and be able to have that exact nudge and talk to them and it not be convoluted within the coaching corner. Another thing that's next and that we see is that we're looking for understanding, when the team leaders, they're talking about performance and their goals. They want somewhere where they can write that down so that their team leaders can go back and look at that. They do talk about that, but so their team members can go and they can go and look at it. They want that kind of there. So it's just different things like that that they want moved around or that they want added within the platform.
Very cool. Well, it sounds like you guys have a lot going on, so that's great.
It's definitely good.
Well, good. Thank you so much for sharing, Kendra. If you guys do have more questions, pop it in the chat. Kendra will be here, and I saw Hakeem here as well, so they can answer any questions, or if you guys want to connect, put your chat contact in the chat, and we're glad you were able to share today.
Thank you, Jason.
Of course. Well, y'all, I'm going to share my screen one more time with you guys, just so you can kind of see what's coming up next. We have an Atlanta healthcare entrepreneurship meetup where we've got two doctors coming from the Emory innovation unit that it's like an internal, and they are coming Wednesday, March 9th. So if you want to join, sign up. We also are about to launch a big event coming up at the end of March, and it's how to build and scale a B2C company in Atlanta. So you definitely want to join. That hasn't been launched yet, so stay tuned. If you want to join our newsletter, you can, to get insight. And then of course, this next meetup is going to be in April. We've already got 3 startups locked in. So we will be sharing out this recap and then launching the next one soon. But it's a great way to just stay connected with us and with other entrepreneurs in the space. So feel free to check those out. And we are, of course, very, very glad that y'all could join. It is 8:55. If there are no other questions, I will give you guys 5 minutes back of your day. But of course, feel free to connect here in the chat. And if anyone has any needs or leads, if you're hiring, if you want to connect, if you're looking for a job, now would be the time to throw those in the chat, because we're trying to, oh, awesome. Look at Michael's got it there, his whole connection in the chat. So if there's a way or that we can help you, myself or Catherine or Nick, we're all here on our team, and we would love to help in any way. But without further ado, I will call it a day. We'll see you guys.